I recently built about 40 shaker boxes. It was a fundraising project for our church. I used some pine boards that were salvaged from a demolition project we had in an old part of our church, and there was some sentimental value in the wood that was removed, so I chose to make several boxes from the wood. I made the tops out of pine. The boxes are approximately 5 by 7 and 2.5 inches high. Here's one of the pine boards that I had salvaged. Several knots I used in the tops, and the clear sections I used on the sides, and they were very well received. I started by ripping the boards 2.5 inches wide, um, which is the height of the box sides. And here I have several strips that I'd cut, and now I have to resaw them into narrow or thin strips so I can form the sides of the box. So I cut them on my bandsaw approximately 3/16 wide, and then you can see I can get 3 or 4 sides out of a regular 3/4 inch board. And you can see the roughness of the cut. I pass them through my drum sander, where I can finish them nice and smooth down to the desired thickness of 70 thousandths. Now the tops are wider, they're about 5 inches wide, and I chose to cut them on my table saw, so they're 1/4 inch thick, and I have to pass them through twice. Cut it through like that, and then I flip it over, cut the other side. Now here's a demonstration of a push block I made that clips to my fence, and it helps me keep my hands away from the blade while doing these narrow cuts. The shorter pieces that I use for the tops with knots in them, I cut them on my bandsaw for safety reasons. It's just not safe to push a short piece of wood through a table saw. So I have a push block that I use to pass it through the blade. It's a 1/2 inch wide blade, makes pretty straight cuts. Now the sides, the 2.5 inch sides, 70 thousandths thick, I stacked 5, 6, 7 of them up in a jig, and I cut the swallowtail ends of the box sides. Now they have to be drilled, pre-drilled for the copper tacks, so I have a template all pre-drilled, and I lay the template on the side piece and then mark the location of the tack holes. This example is not for the number 3 box I'm building, for those of you who notice that there's only 2 tails on them. But I spot mark them, and then I drill the holes in my little Dremel tool drill. The other ends of the box sides and the top band are supposed to be tapered down to a feather thin. That's so when they overlap, there won't be a sharp ending on the where they overlap. To bend the pieces, I have a piece of gutter 3 feet long, and I put end caps on them and caulk it. Fill it up with water, and I use a camp stove to get the water percolating, and I end up cooking the wood to approximately 20 minutes, 30 minutes in there. Now this piece here, I'm wrapping around a form that I built for the number 3 box. And the key to this is use the palm of your hand while you're wrapping it to give it some support. This is where you'll encounter some breakage. If you've got knots in the way on the bends, I guarantee you they'll break. I found out the hard way. I thought I'd try to bend knots. They don't work that way. But it's very important. When you overlap them, you get it tight to the form. Put a pencil mark across 2 pieces where they overlap, and the pencil mark allows you to realign the piece. When you take it off the form, you can put it back. It tells you, identifies where it overlaps for the correct size. Notice I'm hanging on to the 3 feathers. If you let one of those feathers go, I almost guarantee you it'll split. So you have to hold the feathers, put the nail in place, and I have an anvil, piece of solid pipe sticking out of my bench. Put the tack in, drive it down till it hits the anvil, and it'll roll the end of the tack over, make a very tight clinch fit. make sure the tacks go in straight. If they don't go in straight, they don't grip correctly. So I examine the box and then getting it prepared to put a bottom in it. For the bottom material, rather than using the good pine wood, I use a 1/4 inch Luan plywood. It's never seen unless you tip the box over or look inside. And then you trace around the inside of the box and then cut the plywood. So there's one that's all fit up. Now to fit the top cover band, it's the same as bending the sides of the box, except it's easier, much smaller and softer. And when they overlap, and you form it around the box, and you'll see I started from the inside, from the outside in first, and now I have to flip them over. You mark it with a pencil, same as I did on the box sides. Put it on the anvil and nail it. Now I have a Dremel tool mounted, oh boy, it's like less than 1/8 of an inch off the block there, and I take my boxes and just push them in with the got some hired help here. She's eating the toothpicks.
Yeah. It's not over here, so
basically what you got to do is drill holes.
Yep, and then you got to slam
the perimeter. Stick some toothpicks in there. Tap them.
Okay, this is the fun part. I get to throw bullets across the sea. Yay! Woo!
Tap them in to flush them, and sand the box. Get ready to finish it. I use shellac because shellac is the only finish I know of that will cover knots and prevent bleed through. So I ended up, actually this is a hairbrush. I ended up using a foam brush and found it was much neater job. I made a special little form to hold it. It's on a Lazy Susan swivel, and you can just twirl them around and do that 3 coats, 4 coats. This just shows the array of some of the boxes in various stages of construction. Like I said, I made about 40 of them, and they were a real hit. Good fundraiser for any organization. And that's the end of my box. If you want to go to this website, he's the master of shaker boxes.
This is my work. Where I'm forced to practically chained here. But I got the hang of it and it's fun.
Not as much fun as shooting toothpicks.
No, that was more fun. That was the best job. Shooting the toothpicks, the pegs, was most fun. And I usually did much better than this.
I'm not looking at you. Here's a picture of the bargain bin.
Those are the ones that didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
Cracked or they broke some way.
Yeah. Didn't fit. Broke. Popped out. Oh.
What are you going to do with them?
I'll make a Christmas tree out of them. Got to be something I can do with them.
You got to do something with them. Can't be thrown out.
Well, I made some numbers, 2 1s and 0s, and this is the only 0 I got.
Show it to me. I don't see it.
And he's over in the intensive care
Oh, I understand. You're doing it.
in front of the heater with a clamp on him, keep him breathing.